right, and we are back for another episode of The Spicy Life. And joined here with me today is the beautiful and lovely and intelligent Dr. Allie.
Yay.
So let me give you a little bit of background about why I'm so excited to have Dr. Allie in the studio with me today. We're going to be talking about chemistry. That'll be the focus of today's episode. But Dr. Allie is actually an expert in anything psychological, psychology, anything medical, all that brain stuff, okay? Dr. Allie Hicks is a creative consultant and entertainment mental health expert. Much of her work focuses on creatives, the creative process, and presenting accurate images of mental health and illness in the media. And as a creative consultant, she can help guide a project or challenge from inception through production. And challenges are all different. So are her interventions. So Dr. Allie also works as a consultant with The Spicy Life. Yay to The Spicy Life. And she's helped me analyze psychological concerns that I may have with a client and help me kind of, strategize a little bit stronger when it comes to things that require a little bit of her Allie touch. So thank you for joining me today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You are an expert everything entertainment as well.
Yes.
So anything that we're trying to get inside the head of maybe somebody in the industry that's a little crazy. Today we're doing exactly that with the spicy dish.
Yes.
So the spicy dish is where I give news and gossip and what's going on. And I'm sure you're extremely well aware that Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
Am I saying right? Weinstein?
Yep, Weinstein.
Okay.
You got it. You got it.
Sometimes I could be a little dyslexic, all right? But this is crazy what's going on. I mean, up to about 40 women now have accused this man of being a sexual predator and molestation, making advances, and even rape.
I actually had no idea it had already gotten to 40.
Yes, it's at 40.
Those are like Cosby numbers.
Yeah.
And
big names too. So Gwyneth Paltrow, Angela Jolie. I mean, these are people who are, well known within the industry that, one, the audacity of you even think you had a chance with these ladies, but two, to be personally violated and to have advances made at you that are unwelcoming just so that you can take advantage of women who are trying to advance their career.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think what it really comes down to too is that when it comes to women, beauty is our currency, right? But when it comes to guys, women really aren't looking so much for someone who's physically attractive. They're more so looking for someone who can protect them. And in today's day and time, we don't really need someone to bash someone over the head and protect the hole to our cave. Really, it's about financial security. And so what he had was that financial security, and he felt like he was able to utilize that to maybe kind of get women to do what he wanted.
Yeah.
And it seems like, in a way, it kind of worked for a long time.
Well, I was reading some of the quotes that people shared just as far as what their experience was with him. And it almost sounds like at the moment they tried to put their foot down. They tried to stand up for themselves and say, hey, this is not what I'm interested in. A lot of women, when you first start off, you get caught up in the Hollywood chair and what do they call it? The actor's chair, the actor's seat.
Or the casting couch.
The casting couch.
We've all heard stories about the casting couch. I think Seinfeld even talked about it. It's clearly real.
It exists.
It's
You'll do
real,
just
y'all.
about anything to get on, and unfortunately you feel vulnerable in that moment because you know how hard it is to break into Hollywood. But these women tried to stop the advances and let him know, hey, we're not interested. And then he would tend to get upset and then threaten them that their career is over if they decide to tell anybody. And in that moment when you're afraid and you're scared, you might actually consider the greater evil, throwing away everything that I've worked hard for, or,
do I bend my morals a little bit to get something that I've really wanted my entire life? And that's the position that I think a lot of women were in. And when we see people who have been sexually assaulted, sexually abused, sexually molested, one of the large features that people end up coming to me with is guilt. And I could really see that a lot of these women may even be experiencing a lot of guilt where it's not they shouldn't be feeling guilt because he utilized his position of power to take advantage of somebody in a moment of some level of weakness. They needed something from him, and so he knew they needed it. And so he was like, well, you pay me a little extra for it. And so now we have people who maybe even doubly as hurt because they did something that was outside of their morals, and now they even have this guilt on them that they maybe shouldn't really have.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy that so many people are coming out now, but it kind of is empowering. It lets you know, hey, I can voice my opinion. I can let people know that this happened to me too. And that's kind of where the Alyssa Milano's impact has been made. I mean, I think I meant you earlier off camera, you had mentioned that she's your hero right now.
Seriously. Seriously.
She tweeted out, with everything going on in this sensitive topic. She tweeted out that she was a victim too. Like, me too.
Yeah.
I've experienced this too. And it really, it got retweeted and, the hashtag me too has blown up from this. And it's just crazy. Like,
and what's really interesting about it is that, like, so the hashtag me too has been around for 10 years. It was started by a woman named Tarana Burke.
Yeah.
African-American woman. 10 years ago, she had been sexually assaulted and had, like this, like, serious sexual assault history. And then someone told her, like, me too. And it changed everything. And I think that those are two of the most powerful words in the world.
Yeah.
Because it makes you feel connected to someone. Like, I'm not the only person in the world that went through something that is absolutely so isolating. But it's like, no, we all went through it. Yeah. Like, the stats say that, like, 1 in 4 women have been sexually assaulted. And I really, like, my impromptu study just of my friends, I think it's more like 4 and 4. I just feel like every woman I know.
Every single person?
I think almost every woman I know, at least. And that's not a real scientific study. Like,
I'm going to say every single friend I've ever had has had an advance
something
made towards them that they have felt uncomfortable about or that was inappropriate. But I do know a lot of women who have been victims of, male advances that have just gone too far. They've been taken advantage of. And so, it's just unfortunate that right now we're in a time where we're also hypersensitive because we put a man office in the White House who, grabbed some pussies back in, or at least claimed, that it was okay to. So it's like, how can we get on Weinstein when our own president of the United States, is just as guilty?
I mean, honestly, the president of the United States, a number of other people are being taken down. I mean, like I mentioned Bill Cosby earlier, and then the guy that was the head of production for Amazon. I know, that one hurt me. But, like, it's like this. If 50 women have come out and said something, like, come on. Like, come on. I don't care if you're America's dad. Like, something went down.
I know.
Something went down. And I think that a larger part of the problem is that we're okay with this type of behavior. And we love to say that we're not okay with it, but we are, because this is not the first time Harvey Weinstein did something.
Why are we okay with this behavior? Why are you saying that?
I think to an extent, America is okay with it because they've allowed it to go on for so long. Now they're trying to be upset about it today. But he's been doing this. I think the first time he paid somebody off was in 1996. Mm-hmm. And I think it was actually a part of his contract.
The board knew about it. And
it was in his contract. Yeah. So I'm sitting here like, I love that people are doing something now and that they're stepping up now and they're saying this isn't okay. But I think that there's something that, like, in the American collective, we need to acknowledge that we're not this, like, beautiful group of people who have always cared about the rights of all human beings.
Right.
And that some genuinely disgusting things have happened and that some genuinely disgusting things are still happening.
Oh, yeah.
And that we need to be honest about it.
And this is just one of the many ones in Hollywood that we know about that's been made public because such big names, huge names have, come out and said something about it.
And people have said, like, a director, a producer has done something to me. I will not mention their name. So there's still people out there that aren't being mentioned. I think Reese Witherspoon said that. She didn't mention the person. Terry Crews didn't mention the person that touched him. I mean, if someone's bold enough to touch the crotch of, like, a 6'5", like, 270-pound dude, like, that is bold beyond bold. Like, who is this person?
You wanted it that bad. You were willing to risk your life about it?
Your life.
Yeah, no, it's unfortunate. But, it's just, it makes you also feel like, gosh, well, at least now we're speaking up. We wish it was sooner. We could have prevented maybe, a few, other assaults. Mm-hmm. But now is the time when, women, we are taking our power back. Mm-hmm. And we're saying, like, no, just because I dress like this, just because I look like this, just because I want a position within the company or to advance my career, doesn't mean that you get to take advantage of me sexually in order to do that. And, the culture is changing and we're starting to stand up for it, even though you're saying that, we're not 100% perfect.
Yeah, we're not. We never will be.
We're still evolving.
Yeah.
And so, our parents might not have said anything, but we're
doing
it. We're going to say something.
We're doing it. And I still hear that logic. Like, a lot of people will say, well, if she's dressed like this and she's hanging out in his hotel room, then, but, I feel like this. If you forgot to lock your car tonight, then you left it outside of your house, right? We all have done it. But if you don't lock your car and somebody steals it,
that's a hot.
Is that still a crime? Oh, I know.
It is still a crime. Yes, it is a crime. That's a great example.
And so if someone's laying naked, drunk, passed out, it is still a crime to have sex with her, even if she is unaware of it. And so you just can't do certain things. You can't assault certain people. You can't assault anybody. And so I think that, when you think about it from the perspective of a car, for some reason people are more clear on it.
And
right?
Yes, because that was enlightening in this moment. My fiance's car just got broken into, and they stole my laptop. They stole all my stuff. Now, I could take accountability and say that they saw me maybe put my bag in the trunk. I'll take accountability for that. But they still had no right to touch something that wasn't theirs. It was mine. And that's just like my breast. That's just like my butt. It's just like
it's mine. You can't touch it.
My boom boom. That's everything. Like, no, it's still, I don't care if I'm
I don't care
naked.
if you see it. Exactly.
It's not yours.
It belongs to me, and you do not have the right to touch it, to take it, to damage it in any way, shape, or form, because it is my property. It belongs to me.
Exactly. And while we're on the topic of touching and feeling and my property, I want to talk a little bit about sex ed. But before we... Oh, you like that topic. Okay. Sexual chemistry. When we think of chemistry, we automatically assume that it's like, these emotions that you feel. How real is sexual chemistry? I mean, is that something that really exists? And then we're going to talk about real chemistry too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sexual chemistry exists. And I think at the same time it also doesn't exist, which is very meta, right? It's like yes and no. But
there should be like a little light bulb that pops up above my head right now. Like,
what do you mean? No, like on one hand, I think that we've the term sexual chemistry kind of means like just this like unspoken attraction that the two of us have, right? I just can't take my hands off of you the minute I see you, like that's it. And I think that is absolutely very real. All right, I think that's something that really happens.
It's lust. It's
that's like, a dopamine release.
Fire ignited.
Right? That dopamine, that reward, the same stuff that is released when you like take a hit of Coke or something, or when you go gambling, or when you eat delicious chocolate. That same exact... I know, chocolate, right?
Chocolate.
I'm not much into Coke, but chocolate.
I would take my clothes off for chocolate.
Coke is not for me, but chocolate, that's my drug of choice. But yeah, so like the same feeling you have when you've eaten something really delicious is the feeling that you get when you see somebody that you just like bond with. And then there is like a biological aspect to it too, because we love to forget that we are also mammals and we are also animals.
In other words, we like to hump.
We like to hump.
Okay.
And we are biological, and we actually do sense pheromones. We smell them. And your olfactory bulb, which is this little nerve that right behind your eyes, kind of like right back here, it connects directly to your amygdala.
Oh,
like right to it.
For sure.
And your amygdala like helps you remember things that are pleasurable and negative. And it's a part of your body that's like really a major part of love and sex. And it triggers a lot of different things. And so there's actually a study that showed that, which is really awesome, that they got all these really gross sweaty shirts that these guys have been wearing.
Ugh.
I know. And they had women smell them. And women were attracted to men that were genetically different from them through their just through the smell on their shirts.
Scent is everything.
Like it's everything, and we like must. Like we love to pretend like we like perfume.
Wait, you got a little too far.
Because that's body smell. That's that body smell.
I like cologne. I like this to smell squeaky clean. I once had a little date hike that I went on with this guy. So fine. I mean, just my type. I like him big and strong. He was gorgeous, and we went on this hike, and his BO was such a no that I told him to lose my this is just not gonna work. Lose my number. I let him know like it's just there's no chemistry here. But a part of that was his smell.
He had the wrong smell for you.
He stunk like a skunk. I was like, that shouldn't even be humanly possible. You need to go to the doctor.
What was he eating?
I don't know. He wasn't gonna eat me. That's for sure. Okay, that was not what he was gonna eat. That was not what was for supper.
You're like, no, not today.
But it's real. And even when my man puts on a fragrance that I don't like, or he gets back from the gym, there are certain times that I'm like, oh, wait, I do kind of want you, like, in this, it's this scent that is released.
Yeah.
And I feel like we release it too, though.
We absolutely
during
do.
Our ovulation.
Yes, there's actually a study that says...
Because he jumps on me during my ovulation.
No, it's like insane. They know exactly when you're ovulating. You are actually more attractive to people on dates when you're ovulating.
Ooh.
And so, like, isn't that really interesting? So,
wait,
like,
let me check my ovulation calendar.
First dates, y'all.
Ladies, go out, spicy tip.
Go out
when you're ovulating. He's going to want you more. You'll get that call back.
Like, you have, like, a special glow. Like, I've always felt like my skin is better when I'm ovulating. And I keep track of this,
I have been getting a lot of compliments.
Right?
I'm ovulating right now.
Right? Like, and I always know. I keep track, because I'm not trying to get pregnant today, and I refuse to take birth control.
Oh, you gave me a fabulous app.
Mm-hmm.
It tracks your period.
The Flow.
The Flow. I downloaded it. Shout out to the Flow.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It hasn't been accurate for me, though, because I have an irregular cycle. But I like the fact that it's telling me we think your period's coming, and then it also let me know to check with my doctor, because it just didn't come. It missed that week. Mm-hmm. And so we wound up going, and this is like way off topic, but you have to know this story. We wound up going and getting pregnancy tests because I wanted to make sure, because I was like, well, the flow said it's supposed to be here.
Mhm.
And I wasn't pregnant, thank God.
But now you know that your period is irregular, because sometimes we don't even know.
Yeah.
Until you like keep track of it, because this is all really important, because when you're like with a partner, you want to make sure that, you know, like, because I think the rhythm method is actually very, very effective. You know, I'm not an MD. I do have my PhD, so I cannot give you actual medical advice, but I have to give that caveat, no lawsuits.
We
But
still call the doc.
I don't want any unwanted pregnancies coming to my email.
Right.
Like, Dr. Allie, I'm pregnant thanks to you. I hate you, bitch.
Name them spicy if you do get pregnant.
Name them all spicy. But yeah, the rhythm method can be really effective. And so I think it's really helpful as a part of like your sexual health to just really be aware of like, am I someone, is my period more inconsistent, or is it really consistent? Like I am like clockwork. You can set your clock by my cycle.
Really?
Like since I was
You're
a kid,
lucky.
since it's like totally predictable. So I like apps like that, because it really helps me to make sure, like, if I'm like a day late, I'm like, I'm pregnant. This is the end. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And mind you, I want, don't get me wrong, mothers at home, I want to be a mother. I want a child. But just not right now.
Not today.
I'm doing
But I do
dos
love you.
muchos. Yeah, I can't right now. Okay, so we mentioned sexual chemistry. I want to talk about like this real chemistry. A lot of times clients will come to me and they, you know, will have somebody fabulous. The resume is great. But then they just say there wasn't any chemistry. There wasn't any, you know, sparks there. In my opinion, that means that either something wasn't effective, you know, communicated effectively in the sense of, you know, maybe this person was having an off day. Maybe they were shy. Maybe they weren't as outgoing as you would like to have to be. Maybe they weren't witty that day. You know, maybe they just didn't, you know, fit into the box or the vision that you had, your expectations of how they were going to perform. And so I know that it's real because the first time I met my fiance, I didn't like him.
Yeah.
I was having an off day, but then the next time I saw him, I was like, oh, you could get it.
Yeah, I think, and that's why I say chemistry is real and not real, because I think that we can also put too much on it, because though we are animals, right? We are mammals, that we are absolute animals. At the same time, we have this wonderful thing called our frontal lobe. And the front of your brain allows you to make decisions. Right here,
Okay.
right behind your eyebrows, right? And that part of your brain allows you to make complex decisions. And so, like, a lot of people will come and they'll tell me, like, oh, you know, I like this guy, but it's just not, there's no spark. The it factor isn't there. And you're not going to have butterflies with every person.
Right.
Sometimes, I mean, you're married for 50 years, 60 years,
The
70
butterflies
years.
fade.
Butterflies go away. You know, and so I feel like that is like a fun part of dating. Like, it's cute to get butterflies, and it feels really good to have, you know, it's actually have like this cortisol release of like stress hormone that kind of makes your stomach feel like you're on a roller coaster a little bit, and it feels great, right? But it's like, but when you're like sitting in bed, laying in bed next to someone you've been laying next to for 30 years, you might not have that feeling every single day.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's not that it's overrated feeling, but it's just, it's not, from my experience, I feel like it's not necessary.
Well, part of the reason that a lot of women date the bad boys, yeah, it's unfortunate. Sorry, nice guys. But a lot of women date these bad boys because, you know, there's a chase, but it's really the emotional component that comes with it. It's the hunt, them always feeling like this roller coaster of emotion. And so when they feel something, they feel like, oh, this is real. Like we have this passion and, you know, it's so much more passionate. And then when you get the nice guy, it's safe and secure and you're not getting that adrenaline. You're not getting those emotional highs. So you think that it's not a good relationship or that you don't have chemistry. And really, no, he's just not driving you nuts. He's actually a lot more healthier than the, you know, dysfunctional relationship.
Exactly. You're not releasing all of this unhealthy levels of cortisol, because we begin to attach this feeling of like your stomach dropping with love, whereas sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's genuine like fear.
It's not
like,
love when I'm stalking you on Facebook.
That is scary, right? And sometimes we confuse the asshole for the alpha male. Because we're really looking for an alpha male, someone who's in control, a leader.
Strong.
But you don't have to be a jerk to be an alpha. You know, and I think that's sometimes what we confuse and we forget, and that there's a lot of men that lead from behind.
Yeah.
There's a lot of men that don't have to be these, like, Weinsteins. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of guys who aren't these, like, kind of sociopathic characters that don't really empathize or care about you.
Right.
And I think that the nice guys really underestimated. My husband's a nice guy. Maybe that's why I say it. That's why I say it. But I think nice guys.
He's a really nice guy.
He's really nice. Like, I'm way too mean for him. But I am definitely the lucky one in this relationship. I got the catch. He did not.
That's awesome. Shay got the catch in my opinion.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
No, I met my equal. I met someone equally as assholey as me. So we balance each other. Because I'm like, anybody who can put up with my craziness has to be one back. But he's probably a better person than me too.
Yeah. It's nice how we find people who kind of make us grow in the areas where we were a little weak.
Absolutely. Right? But this goes to say, I don't feel like I had chemistry with him when I first met him. And so that's why I know that it also has to do with time.
Yeah.
Time, in your opinion, what does time play in your experience with people when it comes to when they come at you and they're, a patient and they're in a bad place, say they were to meet a great or amazing person. Won't that affect them being able to recognize or be able to connect with that person because of where they are in their life right then and there?
Absolutely. I think that maturity is a major part of it. And when I say maturity, I mean more so like an understanding of self and kind of knowing like what things must you have, like what are absolute deal breakers, what are things that are just kind of would be great to have, and then what are things that are kind of like whatever.
Your core values.
Yeah, like what are your core values? What are your real issues? What are the things that you must have? And I feel like there's a lot of people who really don't know. And then they meet a guy that's maybe really great, and maybe he would have met a lot of their values and the things that they wanted if they knew what they were. And then on a biological level, we also look at like there's two hormones, vasopressin and oxytocin. And these two hormones are like the love hormones. Vasopressin is more so seen in men. Oxytocin is more so in women. Oxytocin makes you all sexy and like feel bonded to a person, and vasopressin kind of makes you like want to protect people. Right? And so these are the hormones that we release when we have sex. But what's interesting is in order to even feel these love hormones, you have to have receptors in your brain for these love hormones, right? So you don't have the receptors if you don't have the hormone.
Oh, and some people don't have the hormone.
So some people, if you've been like traumatized as a child and you haven't been given or shown a lot of love, then you don't have a lot of those receptors. You haven't naturally built them. And so you have to now be in a position where you have to be loved on for a while so you can begin to grow and develop these receptors.
But you can grow the receptors.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's called epigenetics.
See, that was what was wrong with me. I didn't have receptors for a long time to all those men out there whose heart I broke. Sorry.
And so that's why time, I think, is important on a biological level as well, because there are some people who they weren't given all of that stuff when they were growing up. And so now their body literally needs to catch up, because if you don't have oxytocin in your system, your body's basically like, why do I produce oxytocin receptors?
So for those who don't know what oxytocin is, Dr. Ali is going to tell you right now.
Yeah. So it is a fancy, wonderful hormone that they call it the love hormone, and it makes you bond with people. Women feel it more often. So everyone has oxytocin, but estrogen amplifies it.
And women have it.
Yep, men and women. But women, it is amplified when it's in the presence of estrogen, because what it does is it really helps us bond with our children. So you release a lot of oxytocin when you're breastfeeding. You release a lot of oxytocin when you see a little baby, like when you get that little like, oh, go, go, go.
Is that when my girlfriend is still breastfeeding her 2-year-old?
Yes, you release a ton of oxytocin.
Getting that high?
Yes, it feels great.
Women better than crack.
Yeah, so. Women release a ton of oxytocin during orgasm, and it is something that causes us to bond very closely with another person.
How do we know how much we're releasing? So is it based on how big my orgasm is, how little my orgasm is?
I don't know that.
Because I had a little one the other night, and would that mean that I didn't release a lot of oxytocin?
No, I think it's more so about the feelings that you have. That could kind of be an indicator, but really you'd have to like get a blood test to kind of see like how much oxytocin is flowing in your system.
So if a large complaint for women is that sometimes certain men can't make them orgasm, or I've ran into a lot of women who can't orgasm themselves. Would it be, or could we blame it on the oxytocin, like them not being able to reach this feeling of sexual climax because of it?
There's a lot of things. There's a few other hormones that go into like a good orgasm, like prolactin, oxytocin, vasopressin, a little bit of cortisol, some dopamine. it's a little mixture of everything.
Like a little cocktail. Where can I buy that?
I know. I want just give me an injection of that, please. Orgasm in a shot.
But like my rabbit. No.
Yeah, and I think a huge part of it too is that is like the way women are socialized. We're not really socialized to have sex be like a major part of our lives.
Yeah.
Men are more so socialized, and they talk about orgasm when they're young. Like it's a big part. They talk a lot about wet dreams for boys. Girls have wet dreams.
Oh,
how many television shows have you seen that highlight wet dreams that girls have? Like, so we're just kind of socialized to kind of like push our sexuality away. And so when you're now having to have an orgasm because you're with a new guy or you're with whoever, and there's like this pressure. Like I feel like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to have orgasms where the average female orgasm takes between 35 and 40 minutes. But then it's like the whole concept of like quickies and why can't you do it in 12 minutes? And so now you're putting all this pressure on yourself. Like, why am I not orgasming? And now you're focused on the wrong thing. And so it's going to take you an hour and a half. right?
And then you both are tired and you start cramping.
And then you're like, forget it. We're done. I just can't orgasm. Like, I'm done.
But that's why sexual health is so important for you to know your body too, so that you can communicate effectively with your partner when you don't have a need being met. And so if I need you to, you know, grab my ass more, or spank me here, or, you know, choke me there, yes, to the left, like there's a certain way to do that as well. You don't just say, hey, you know, you suck in bed. We don't have sexual chemistry. You know, you compliment the things that they do have and that you do love. And then when they do something, you know, or get close to something, you know, you can instruct them a little bit like, oh, you know, grab me right here. Or you move their hand over there.
That
or you
positive
tell them like,
reinforcement.
oh, you know what? I like when you did X, Y, and Z. Or, oh, you know what? I want to try. Like, it's very easy to have the conversation, but a lot of women don't have that. So they turn into just faking
because I think
chemistry.
A lot of us don't know ourselves either. Women are not necessarily encouraged when they're young to masturbate. And so you really don't know your own vagina. You don't know what's going on in there. You don't know all your little curves and dips and twists, because we're all put together differently, just like every human person. And so I think that there's a piece of us that just doesn't know what we even like. And it's kind of intimidating to tell somebody, like, can you try something I've never tried before, but I think I might like it.
Like, I YouTubed.
Yeah. And we get kind of shy, I think. And then it ends up kind of turning into like something entirely different, where now it's almost a sexual dysfunction, where now we can't reach climax because, you know, so it's part hormonal and then parts like just cognitive and sociological, where we're kind of like forced into this position where we're like anxious. And anxiety is the killer of all sex. Like, you cannot be anxious when having sex. It's very difficult to orgasm when you're under like duress, because your body's like, she's anxious. There's a lion in the room.
Right.
Why is she trying to orgasm? She needs to run.
Stress too is like, you know, and is the same exact, you know, you're stressed at work, you're having a hard day. Like, a lot of people won't come home and make love to their partner because of stressful situations. And so, you know, there's all these factors that play into it. But is it something where, you know, hey, we haven't done it in a while, or, you know, we don't have great sexual chemistry. Can we create that? You know, is it, do you believe that you can help somebody get good in bed? I mean, I know I do. I think that with the proper instruction, you can teach them positive reinforcement. But do you believe that you can help someone get better in bed?
Absolutely. I think because it's all a learning process. And then I think we also change. You know, there's some things I liked in my 20s that now in my 30s, I'm like, ooh, my back isn't really where it used to be. So
I swear I used to be able to do this position, this back then.
We're not doing that one anymore. We're going to do a little more relaxing one. You know, and so I think that it's a constant learning process, and that we all should be open to kind of like hearing, you know, like areas where it's like, oh, I'll try this different next time, or maybe you can try this different next time, or I like this more. And so, yeah, I absolutely think, I feel like sexual chemistry is the easiest thing to fix in a relationship.
Oh.
Personally. I feel like it's harder to take two people who are very cognitively different, who have entirely different upbringings, entirely different cultures, and get those two people to now love each other than two people who genuinely love each other to have good sex.
Have you heard of the 4 C's?
Oh, I think I may know a few of them. I think I know a few of them.
Okay, for those who don't know the 4 C's, she just hit one of them on the money, okay? Chemistry, compatibility, commitment, and communication. And so everything that you're saying is about the compatibility component. If you have two different upbringings or two different lifestyles, you know, you're going to communicate differently. You're going to have different perspectives. You're not going to see eye to eye. You're going to have different political views, religious, like you could be complete opposites and never be able to create this chemistry because you guys are on two completely different thought processes and wavelengths. But can you create that with someone that isn't opposite?
I think so. I do. I think that, to me, I think all things are possible, and I'm such an optimist, and I believe in love. So let's start there, that I really just believe in love so much. But yes, I do. I think that with communication, all things are possible. I think if you can learn how to communicate with another person, then all the problems that you have can be worked out.
You mentioned earlier, like hormones, pheromones, tons of, you know, phenomenal medical terms that we've all had to Google while she's talking. Genetics, though, because that's a part of, you know, our body, our makeup. You know, if is my ancestors, my mom's sexual attraction and what she likes and what my grandmother liked, does their genetics play any part into what I'll be attracted to and have chemistry with later on down the line?
Again, yes and no. Okay. Right? It's both. This is like the nature versus nurture argument. I know. This is the nature versus nurture argument, right? It's of course genetics play a role, right? Because your mom likes something, your grandma likes something, and they're genes for the things that we like. Like, there are genes that tell us to who to be attracted to, males versus females versus, you know, whatever, strong males versus weak males. Like there are genes that do tell us how to do that. But then society comes in and impacts the way we view things as well. So it's hard to say, like, am I attracted to men? Like, you know, people always say you marry your father. I actually did not do that. But people say you marry people like your father. And so it's like, is that because your mom married a guy like your father? Or is that because you were raised by a guy like your father?
Did I marry my dad? I don't know. I never thought about it because I didn't know my father. But now when I think about the way that my mom describes my father, oh my God, I like, yes, adventurous, muscular, strong, like minded, strong-willed, hardworking, determined. Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? And so
those
part
are like
of that
important values to me in a man
is genetic, because we, yet again, as animals, we evolved, and there's certain things that we need to, like, there's certain things that humans do. What animals do is procreate. That is like one of our primary functions, is to eat food and to make sure that we have another generation that can also eat food. Like, and just to keep going.
When we see someone that we are interested in, and there is this like lock-eye connection, a lot of us don't know that subconsciously we're desiring them because we can see ourselves procreating with them. Can I make a beautiful baby? Can I breed with this person? And so we don't know why we're attracted to what we're attracted to, but that actually is one of the reasons, is your body, those little eggs down there.
They want to fertilize.
Oh, you make me strong baby. You.
You. You. Baby now. They literally, like, we're looking for things like pathogen resistance. So a person that looks healthy, bilateral symmetry, a person who is symmetrical on left and right side, which shows that, like, you haven't been injured or damaged or sick. Waist hip ratio.
What is that?
Small waist, big hips. Because basically spicy. I'm not as curvy. But basically what that is that when women and men are like 9 years old, everyone's body looks the same. You're both little beans. You're just little straight up and down beans. Then you hit your menstrual, you hit and you become an adult.
And we fill out.
And then women, their bodies change. And so basically it's just one way to know that you're not having sex with the same gender. That's really all it is.
God thought of everything. Right? God knew what he was doing.
It's just way back in the day. So it's like, oh, that's a woman and that's a man, and I'm a man, so I'm going to have sex with a woman so I can have a baby. And that's really all it comes down to.
All start off looking like boys.
Right? Everyone looks the same. We all look the same. And
Spicy tip.
Waist cinchers.
We appreciate your curves, ladies. It lets you know that you are not a man.
There you go.
Let those fellas know.
Yeah, and so I mean, and that's like obviously like such like the most basic part of it, but that's really like we have evolved. Like whatever you believe or not, religion, whatever, there is a level of evolution that has happened, and that's something that like we need. So genetically, we do need that. Like you married your dad, I married my grandfather. Like it's random. Like those are things. I never
thought about that. Light bulb moments. I should have. But that's crazy. So you married your grandfather.
Definitely.
Okay. So but. Yeah, so that it has to play a part. It has to. Now, as far as the chemistry component is concerned, is there reason that we can be repelled because of that as well?
I think so. I think there's definitely, like you said, like some pheromones that just aren't for you.
Like, my mother or my ancestors wouldn't have liked you, so therefore I'm disgusted by you.
Maybe, yeah. And when it comes to humans, we've kind of lost touch with our intuition. We're not as intuitive as we used to be. Like dogs are intuitive. Yeah. They know when you're sad. They know when you're upset. And that's that ability to kind of like perceive something that's a little bit more subtle. And we've lost touch with that a little bit. Like not all of us, but some have. And so I think that there are things that are going on and things that are happening that we're just unaware of.
What would you blame this lack of intuition on?
I don't know.
Outside sources, friends, social media.
I think a part of it is the increasing technology that we have. And I think it's beautiful. I love technology. I mean, literally, I'm on my phone nonstop. I'm actually having a really hard time not just like picking up my phone right now. But I think that technology has allowed us, it changes the way our brains function. It changes the way memory is. And even like technology, including like the written language. Back during like the cuneiform days, which is the first ever written language, people were arguing that we shouldn't have written language. Because it changed people's memories and it impacted your ability to remember things. Because before you were writing things down, you just had to know everything.
Right. I couldn't tell you anybody's phone number anymore.
Right. And then people's memory decreased with written language. And then it decreased more with the printing press because not everybody had access to books. And then your memory changed even more now that you have like pencils in your house and pens. And then you get a cell phone. And now you get, so things change. And so I think that our intuition has changed a little bit and we're not totally as cued into each other because things are different, which is a good thing. I mean, it's just the way things go, so I'm not mad at it. But I think that that's a part of why maybe we're just kind of like naturally drawn to some people and not to others. It's kind of this unexplainable thing.
And sometimes we're just being extremely picky.
Yeah.
And so
that that too.
While we're talking about that, I want to read to you guys a letter that I got, all right? And this was a person that was asking for advice. And I call this part of the show my spicy tip time because we're going to give this particular woman advice while we're on there. We're going to give her some spicy tips. Now, the person who emailed me, I promise it's not myself. Her name is Madi also.
She's like, I swear it wasn't
Her
me.
name is Madi. Okay, and she's a 38-year-old single female that's been single for over a year now. She said, when I first started dating again, I went out about maybe 4 to 5 years. Oh, she was in a 4 to 5 year relationship, and I met a guy who asked me 21 questions. Seemed like 500 questions at the time, and I guess I've been so out of the game, I didn't realize people still do this on dates. I mean, I get it. You're trying to get to know someone, but I felt like I was being quizzed. Is this what the dating ordeal has come to? She said. She's concerned about the questions, and then in addition, she wants to know: is it right to ask right off the bat about income? And she also is asking another thing. I don't consider myself bad looking. I mean, I'm not the most gorgeous, but I'm all right. She's like, I get told all the time that I get approached a lot, or been assumed that she would get approached a lot, but she actually doesn't. So then it makes her think, well, dang, I thought I was attractive. Maybe I'm not, because people assume that I would get approached, but I don't. So she also is looking for a successful, well-established, chocolate 6 to 3.5 inch 5 black man. So
let's hook her up. We gotta hook her up.
Okay. First off, I want to address her prerequisites. There were a lot of questions. First problem was the prerequisites. They did not fall in line with any of the 4 C's that we just talked about.
Yeah, they're all physical.
Chemistry, compatibility, commitment, and communication. All right. These 4 C's are actual elements that you're supposed to use when kind of, diagnosing whether somebody is worthy of dating you or not. And the fact that she's doing it based off of pure physical attraction would play into why she might be able to have great sexual attraction with someone, but not be able to have chemistry with someone and have a relationship. Yeah. And so that right there is one thing that's probably being an issue for her also. But I looked at her profile picture. She looked like an extremely cute girl. But spicy tip, go to the freaking gym. You want somebody who's 6'3", chocolate that works out. Let me tell you, you're going to find you some muscular men up in there. But a lot of women won't take their ass to the gym.
I've always said that. If you want a man really badly, he's not going to show up to your apartment. Like, he's not popping up in your bedroom.
I can't order him on Amazon. That's called a
stalker. Like, that's a stalker. That is an assailant. Like, if you want to find a guy that looks like that, you have to figure out where he's going. He's playing sports. He's, so go to ball games, like go and start, play a pickup game, like go to the gym, start working out, be on the treadmill, like be where he is, like be where your imaginary man is.
That location. That's a spicy tip.
That is so good. That's such good advice.
Absolutely. And then also too, the questions factor. Now, mind you, I did reply to her email, but I'm sharing this with you like I let her know that I would. But the communication, she was concerned that he was asking her so many questions about herself, and she felt like it was something that should have been organic. Like, I need time to answer these questions or to get to know you before I answer these questions. But I would interpret that as him trying to do his checklist of whether he should eliminate you or not, because either in the past he's wasted time with other women, or he's trying to see how well your stats are so that maybe he can, do a transference to your relationship. I know I dated a guy one time who asked me about my credit score. I thought that was very...
I've never gotten that question.
That was way too personal. But come to find out, he was living with his girlfriend and was trying to see if he could come live with me. He wanted to know what he was getting into.
800s only.
Yeah. That was a prerequisite. I'm like,
for a car.
And at the time, though, because, man, let me tell you, he was fine. He was my type. He was smart. He was funny. But at the time, I was thinking to myself, like, oh, wow, this is a mature question, But it made me uncomfortable. And that right there was me needing to use my intuition and not really go off of the, I don't want to be alone. I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. And so, I would advise that if it is questions that make you feel uncomfortable, don't answer it until you feel uncomfortable, and ask yourself why he's asking this and why you feel uncomfortable about the question.
Exactly. I think that discomfort, like you said, your intuition is telling you he's not the one. Like, it doesn't matter if it's questions or if it's just like the cologne that he wears. I broke up with a guy because his hair gel smelled weird. Yeah.
What?
So, yeah. But it's like, if your intuition is kicking in and telling you there's something that you don't like, then why not just move on? Like, you don't have kids with this guy.
Now, I will say this. I do think that people deserve multiple chances if no harm was done.
Okay.
So he may have shown up, his representative may have shown up saying, girls like a lot of questions. Let me ask a lot of questions. Maybe she's going to think I'm more interested. We don't really know who this mystery 21 question man is, but there's a multitude of reasons that he may have showed up with this aggressive nature asking so many questions.
See, like, that would have worked with me. I would have loved
I would have loved that.
Please ask me a million questions. It's all about me.
OMG. Like, my fiance talks way more than me, and I talk for a living. So you know that's bad, okay? I'm so mad my headphones got stolen because I drowned. Just joking. But the point is that the first time, once again, just like in my experience, you may not be crazy about him. You may not fall for him. Mm-hmm. And you may have misunderstood this whole person that showed up with the 21 questions. If no harm was done, if you weren't disrespected, if you didn't try to touch your crotch without your permission, or if he wasn't rude and disrespectful, I would say give him another chance, because you don't know who you showed up to be that day as well.
True. He could have his own opinions of your performance that day. And if you had asked him how much money he made, he might have felt uncomfortable as well.
Yes. Let's address that question really quick. Is it okay for a woman to ask, or a man to ask about your salary the first date?
I think it is. Honestly, I think everything's on the table.
Really?
I really think everything's on the table, because it's about figuring out who this person is and if you guys get along. And if you're a person that asks open and honest questions, you're going to need to be in a relationship with someone who can tolerate that.
This is true. I do respect the open and honest questions.
I wouldn't
but
like that.
I would challenge that, though.
I personally wouldn't like that.
I would be like,
if someone was like, but how much do you make, though?
My bank account is set up right now.
Yeah, I would be uncomfortable. But I think if somebody is comfortable with it and that's how they flow and how they live, then they should find someone that lives the same way.
That can be just as honest about that and straightforward or forthcoming. But I would also say as well that you need to reassess your values, because if you're asking someone how much money they make on the first date, I get it. You don't want to date below your means, but that shouldn't be the most important thing in your prerequisites, and all these questions aren't going to tell you the person's heart the first day. Like, that's what really matters, is their spirit, their heart, their character, their values. So that's why you need to give it a little bit more time, because say she made below the number that he wanted in his head, or he made below the number that she wanted in his head. Then everyone's capable of getting a raise.
Exactly. And then you don't want to exclude someone for something that can change. Because these external things change. Hot guys become ugly fat guys. Hot girls become ugly fat girls. Like, life changes. She
said it, not me.
I know. But, like, what I'm saying? Like, people don't stay the same. There's certain things that change and there's certain things that don't. Your character tends to kind of stay the same. If you're a giving, loving, and honest person, you'll be giving, loving, and honest until the day you die, unless something horrible happens. But you're more likely to stay that way. But things like money, you can go from being a billionaire to being absolutely poor.
I just had a wedding planner on the show. Shout out to Kate Manassi Events. And she owns her own wedding company, like throws the most amazing lavish weddings, kind of like how your wedding was. Her wedding was fabulous. But her husband, before he was her husband, was a plumber. He plumbed. He had just started a plumbing job. And she was saying that her parents were like, absolutely not, he's a plumber, and he didn't even have a high school degree. But she believed in him, and he started his own plumbing company. It had like 30 employees underneath him, she said.
Plumbers make loot. Like, plumbers and electricians.
But most women this day and age would hate on that.
Well, because I also think that we've lost touch of what actually makes money now. We think, like, the only people who make money are, like, basketball players and rappers. When
in shame.
But it's real. Like, people want, like, the big, like, the big, like, famous jobs and stuff. But, like, most of the people who make money, like the Koch brothers, right? Those guys are, like, some of the most wealthy guys in America. And they own, like Dixie cups. Like, it's not flossy.
Is that what I'm drinking out of it?
Like, literally. You're paying the Koch brothers right now. Like, and so it's like, we need to understand that, like, just because your guy isn't, like, some big, huge, flossy, person, but does he love you?
Right.
Does he support you? Does he listen to you? Does he rub your feet when you've had a long day? Does he cuddle you when you feel lonely? Does he, like the things that really matter? Like, yeah, money's great. Money makes things easier. Life is a little easier,
Makes things a lot more comfortable.
No one's gonna lie. Yeah, no, I'm not lying, but they say that, like, happiness caps at $75,000. So if you make at least $75,000, which I think they need to adjust that for LA prices. But
like,
I know for LA prices, but anywhere else, they say if you make up to $75,000, then like you do not get more happy with more money.
So it doesn't matter if you have that double income or not. Like, say that person makes 75 on their own, having that additional 100 or 200K coming in from the other partner won't do anything.
According to studies, does not change happiness. It's because basically money is here to meet your needs.
So this is the unfortunate part as well. Studies also show that, which I'm sure you guys already know this, but women care about money more than men do when it comes to how we choose our partners. Yeah. And so we use it as a prerequisite when it comes to dating. That's what and so, yeah, it's like a 20% difference, 30% difference when it comes to dating and how we choose a partner versus how a man chooses. He cares actually more about her ability to share responsibilities in the home. And you would think like, wait, but we're not domestic. And no, he just wants to know that she can share chores and that some of the burden and stress will be taken off of him. Not necessarily that he wants her walking around barefoot and pregnant, but just like, can we share the burdens together? Whereas women, you know, when a study was done, it was about like 67% said that they valued how much income he brought in. And that's how they chose their partners. And so I'm just like, wait, but if they're waiting on this and we're waiting on this, like we're going to be alone for a very long time while they're dating, you know, women who don't make that much because they don't care.
Exactly. And that's why it's so hard. Like, and that's why you see, like, particularly in the African-American community, there's women that are making more money than most of the men that have more education than most of the men in their communities. And they're not getting in relationships as often because it's harder for a woman to be with someone that's making less than them and is not doing as well as them. But men can just be with anybody. It doesn't matter if you're dating a woman who's not making as much as you because it's like, I love you anyways. It doesn't matter. That's not my prerequisite.
But that's crazy, though, that, you know, and I know that we want this provider and I know that we want that person who's successful and we're attracted to the ambition. But, you know, you can meet an ambitious person who's 6'3", successful, chocolate skin, and still have a horrible relationship.
Absolutely.
It's about the heart, the mind, the spirit, the soul. Okay. So I've asked Allie about a million questions right now.
I love every last one.
But I need to get into the naked truth, okay? And this is where I have my guests come on, and you have to answer 3 very spicy questions, and you have to be honest about it. Okay, so you just have to be vulnerable with us, all right? Okay. If you could sleep or bone with any celebrity crush, who would you crush?
And this is, you guys are going to get to know a lot about me. Lucy Liu.
Who the hell is Lucy Liu?
The
female?
Yes.
Oh, wait, Lucy Liu, the woman?
Yes.
Oh, wait, she is hot.
She's so hot. I mean, my God, right?
Wait, you would have a lesbian lover if you could sleep with anybody.
Yeah, Lucy Liu. She's the one.
Now, do you have what dreams about Lucy Liu? Because you mentioned us
not
women
Lucy
have.
Liu, not Lucy Liu, but other people. Yeah.
But yeah, if you could have sex with I think Lucy Liu's actually gorgeous.
Really pretty, and she's like so stately and just looks like she doesn't take any shit. And I just really
she looks like she's Charlie's Angel. She can open a can of whoop ass on you.
About it.
I love that you already knew your Lucy Liu person. you knew you were like Lucy Liu. Absolutely.
Literally, I'm trying to think of like any guys that are celebrities, and I'm just kind of like sometimes I'm just like, oh, he looks like he smells.
It's hard for me to like fantasize about a celebrity.
Yeah, me too.
It's really hard. Yeah. Like, because I just feel like you love yourself so much. Like, it's very vain to want to be worshipped in front of the camera.
I need you to love me too. Like, I'm a little vain.
I'm in front of the camera with her. As we're in front of the camera.
And we love it.
But that's why we have men who are like behind the scenes, behind the camera.
Exactly. Literally.
Okay, if you could travel back into time, what moment would you re-experience? Any time in your life. It could be.
Okay, so it's my life.
Your life, but you're traveling back into time in your life. What period in your life would you relive? That one moment in time.
Oh, like relive? Like I get to do it over?
Like you get to go back into that time and do it over.
Oh, junior high.
Junior high?
Junior freaking high. I would just start at the beginning.
What?
I would be the smartest person on the planet Earth. I think I would go back and I would just be so insanely intelligent that I would end up getting like a Nobel Prize.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say junior high. Okay, but you have to name this specific moment. So that was a time period. What moment? Like sitting in what chair, eating what food? Like what moment would you go back into?
So a moment that I would go back
when you first got
to
your
do
breath
it over. Oh my God, that was like elementary school. I developed so fast.
I developed early
like
too.
I developed so fast. Yeah, I think then I would go back to, like, I remember elementary school, I was in my classroom and I was the queen of distractions. I would like talk nonstop. Nobody could focus. And in one class, my desk was pushed to the front of the classroom, and I had to be against like the whiteboard because I talked too much.
Like face the whiteboard.
Literally, my desk was against the wall with the whiteboard facing it. Like, I was not a part of the class.
Oh, you were ostracized.
I was told, and I didn't even care.
This is why she has trust issues till this day. She was abandoned by her classmates.
No, what I would do is I would literally just stand up and talk to people. I would just walk to their desks.
Oh, and I did the same, but my teacher made me the teacher's pet because she was like, I'm going to have you lead the class, and so you want to talk so much and you want to be disruptive. Oh, I'm really going to make you talk. Give them all their homework assignment. And I'd be like, Mrs. Summer said that you will be doing pages 3 and 4.
Done. Well, I feel like I would go back to that moment, and I would have like figured out my life a little differently. I'd been like, okay, Allison, like you get your work done faster than everybody, so just be smarter than everybody as opposed to distracting everybody.
Oh, and going and playing with them. You just done more work.
Just done even more work. I think that's what I would have told my young self to do, and I would have like done that over and like developed this more intense focus than like this ability to really quickly finish something and then just kind of move on and be like, oh, now I'm going to distract everyone and chit chat and live my life.
That's so sweet. So now I want to know what sexual experience you would go back to.
Ooh, okay. So I was with this one guy that I referred to as Magic Dick.
Magic Dick.
Magic Dick.
Like Magic Mike, but Magic Dick.
Some of my friends call him Pinky. But
was it a pinky?
No, it was huge.
Oh.
It was just the color pink.
Oh, but my boy.
Mixed race. You know, we love them all.
They're light, yeah.
Gotta love them all. Very, very light.
We don't discriminate against the D.
And so what would I do back there? What am I doing back there?
Yeah. What happened in that moment? I want to just know what sexual experience would you relive again? If you could do it with anybody again in one moment in history and time.
So him, definitely. He was a bass player.
Does Pinky know he's Pinky?
He might.
Okay.
We're very honest with each other.
Oh, okay.
We're still friends, even though I'm...
Oh.
I know.
So technically you could still hit Pinky.
No.
But you wouldn't. She's a married woman, folks.
No. But and even no, he knows it would never.
But it was
happen.
like a bomb experience that's memorable.
He was really good like sexually. He was amazing. There's something about bass playing where your fingers are used to doing different things, and so now you're in sex and yeah, he did so many different things, and I think that like a lot of women, you know, like sexual assault history, all that kind of stuff. And so sex sometimes was kind of like an uncomfortable place for me. I wasn't always like fully in the moment. And I was kind of like there's this thing called like dissociating where you kind of like leave and you're just not present and you're like distracted. Sex was always so safe with him. It was just a safe space, and everything was about us in that moment. And I think that it was actually like literally it was healing. Like sex with him was therapy.
So it was in that moment a healing process for you that you felt like you were recovering from something.
Absolutely.
Sexual healing.
It was sexual healing, and like maybe I'm sure he would love to be loaned out. Healing
with his number for those in need. Okay, thank you for your honesty. The sexual healing. Okay, last question. It's the last thing on earth you can do. You only get one choice: sex, sleep, or eat.
I'm eating.
You're choosing food?
I'm eating. I'm choosing food. I'm totally choosing food.
You do like food, though, yeah.
I really do like food.
Yes.
And I wouldn't be vegan for that meal. It's my last one. I would not be vegan. It would be like a hamburger or like something.
You would just grub on a big, fat, juicy burger.
Yep, not vegan that
What
day.
about bacon?
Oh, my God. I've never had bacon. So I would definitely put bacon on that burger.
Oh, that's right. You like pork.
Yes, never had swine or anything. Yes.
I can't
And then
imagine.
I would put shrimp on it and all the things I couldn't eat as a child. Yes.
You haven't lived until you've had bacon. Okay. And while we're on the topic of bacon, we are wrapping up the show. Get it? Wrapping, bacon wrap? No?
I got it. I loved it.
Allie, where can everybody find you? I really appreciate you coming in. So I want people to be able to reach out to you. If you guys have questions about some of the things that we said today, I mean, please leave comments. Let us know what you want to know more about on the episode. I'll have Dr. Allie back in here probably frequently, jumping in on my crazy conversations and topics. But I want them to be able to reach out to you if they need therapy, if they need love, if they need a friend, if they need Pinky's number.
Literally.
Where can they reach
you? He would
you?
be really excited about that. So basically on every single platform, it's Allison Hicks. My name is spelled really weird. ALLYCINHICKS. My website, my Instagram, my Twitter, all that stuff. Allison Hicks. ALLYCINHICKS.
Awesome. Okay, thank you, Allie, for coming in. We really appreciate you. And just to let you guys know, you have just been spiced. Make sure that you click and subscribe, and you can connect with us on social media in the comment description below.
The Spicy Life.